السنة مثل سفينة نوح، من ركبها نجا ومن تركها غرق.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الحمد لله الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله، وكفى بالله شهيدا، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. أما بعد. As to what proceeds, after praising Allah the Most High, separated from His creation in a manner which befits His Majesty, and sending salatu salam upon His final messenger, Muhammad ibn Abdullah al-Qurashi. Once again we meet for our weekly meeting to conduct a study of the book known as Al-Usul ath-Thalathah, the three foundations or the three fundamentals or the three principles, illustrated by Shaykh al-Islam Muhammad ibn al-Wahha rahimahullah ta'ala, the mujaddid of his time. This book is a book which has been illustrated for the beginner and for the seeker of knowledge. One of the first books which has been recommended by the people of knowledge in the bab of Aqidah, and particularly in the bab of Tawheed al-Ibadah. And this book has been recommended for the young as well as the old who choose to take the path of seeking knowledge and pursue the path of seeking knowledge. Before we start to study this book, on the request of many of the students of knowledge, we decided to go through some important issues. A preface known as al-Madkhal, which includes adabu talib al-ilm, the etiquettes or the manners of a seeker of knowledge. And I believe this may be the 14th or the 15th meeting with regards to this preface. And we are coming to an end now, walillah alhamd. And this preface has been mentioned so that it benefits the seeker of knowledge, the one who started to seek knowledge, and points them to the right direction. Because I have heard a lot of critique and criticism by many saying that this book should not be taught, and this book is not for the beginner, and this should not be done. So everything that concerns you or will be beneficial for you, briefly, I have tried to mention that in our previous meetings. I don't know what the results of this preface has been, or as we know it better as al-Madkhal. Now, so before traveling back to the Prophet ﷺ city, al-Madinah Nabawiyah, where I am now currently addressing you students of knowledge live from my library, alhamdulillah, Marahilu Talab al-Ilm, the stages of seeking knowledge. Was that covered? 3 stages. So we're going to talk about Marahilu Talab al-Ilm, stages of seeking knowledge. The people of knowledge have said that talabul ilm, or seeking knowledge, has three important or main stages. It is appropriate and befitting for a seeker of knowledge or a student of knowledge that he or she prepares oneself in a good manner for every single stage that will be mentioned. So the seeker of knowledge, after knowing these stages, marahil, we call this marahil. Marhala is singular, which is stage, and marahil is the plural, which is the jump. So every single student of knowledge should prepare oneself in a good manner to pass through these stages. Al-marhalatul ula, the first stage, is known as marhalatul ta'sis, the foundational stage for that subject which is being studied. So any subject that you intend to study, you have to get yourself ready mentally as well as physically, and you have to cross through the first stage, or go through the first stage, which is known as marhalatul ta'sis. And how do you do that? You do that by studying the mukhtasarat, or the abridged or summarized books of that subject which are appropriate for the first level or the elementary level. Listen to this very carefully. Under the guidance of a teacher, تحت إشراف علمي, meaning that you must have somebody who will mentor you and who will guide you to study this subject. Then, once you start studying this abridged or summarized mukhtasar book, then you slowly progress in studying that subject by organizing your reading of books which the people of knowledge say al-awwaliyya, kutubuhu al-awwaliyya, the most appropriate and the most beneficial books for that subject. So you don't start reading the books of the Salaf immediately, rather you start with the mukhtasarat and you go down. Easy, then you read the books of the Salaf. Until the student successfully passes the level of a beginner in that subject. So you don't jump into the deep end and start reading the books of the Salaf. As you know, for example, we have Sharh Sunnah of al-Barbahari. A lot of the students, they start to study this book as the first book of Aqeedah. According to the people of knowledge, then they say that this is not appropriate for you. Other texts, illustrations, and textbooks must be studied before that. So this is how you prepare yourself. And this is the direction that you take when it comes to seeking knowledge. That's why I always say to you that there is a difference between Al-Usul ath-Thalathah and Thalathatul Usul. Why did we choose Al-Usul ath-Thalathah or Thalathatul Usul? وَأَدِلَّتُهَا? Because, why? Does anybody know? There is a reason why this book was chosen. Although a lot of the students of knowledge and a lot of the teachers, they decide to teach Thalathatul Usul. But I decided that I'm going to teach this book once to my students, but I'm going to teach with that which is appropriate. Now, as Abu Nur al-Maghribi said, that Al-Usul ath-Thalathah is a book which was illustrated for the children as well as the elementary level students, and it is an abridgment, a mukhtasar of Thalathatul Usul. That's why there is a difference between Al-Usul ath-Thalathah and Thalathatul Usul. So this selection that you have seen is not ashwa'i, and it's not just random. It's structured, and there is a motive, and there is a reason behind it. So that was the first stage. Al-Marhalatu ath-Thaniya, or the second stage, is known as Marhalatul Bina'i al-Ilmi. It is the stage of building and constructing your knowledge. And this is done by obtaining and acquiring knowledge in an organized fashion and manner, so that the student is able to balance. The student is able to balance and is able to complete that which is in order for him to obtain knowledge of that subject after he has successfully passed the stage which is known as the foundational stage. So after he passes the foundational stage, he moves to the stage of completion or completing. And everything that is required for him to obtain and know about that subject, he studies those issues. And he becomes well versed in the sense of being able to research and being able to document the issues related to that subject by developing a very highly advanced skill. That he develops himself, or she develops herself, or he develops himself with an advanced skill of looking into those issues. And he strives and works hard in building a foundational aspect of that subject, meaning that he's firm upon its usul principles. The student of knowledge is able to write with regards to that subject in a sequenced or in an organized manner. The student of knowledge is constant in his revision and him summarizing the subject and adding or amending everything that is needed. So that becomes a tool for him with regards to that subject. So this Bina'ul Usul al-Ilmiyya, building the usuls of seeking knowledge, has many categories and many different ways according to the people of knowledge of the past and present. And I mentioned some of this by mentioning some of its examples, some of its benefits previously. But let it be known at this second stage, which is the stage of building after passing the foundational points of obtaining the foundational issues of that subject, or knowing the foundational things of that subject, the one who slacks in building aslun ilmiyun, building that foundational aspect of his knowledge which he seeks, then his knowledge will be lost. And he will be a victim of being perplexed and will be amongst those who will forget. Is that clear with regards to the second stage? Do we understand the difference between the first stage and the second stage? So the second stage is a building upon the first stage of your knowledge and mastering and perfecting. Then we have the third stage. The third stage is the marhala of al-nashrul ilmi, that you come to the stage of spreading that knowledge. What is intended by that is that you seek and you obtain knowledge of that subject which will firmly ground you by benefiting from that knowledge which you have obtained. This can be achieved by constant practice, by researching and illustrating, and by teaching, and by lecturing, and by writing short treatises, and everything other than this, which is considered to be from the categories of spreading that knowledge which you have obtained. And it is very important that a student of knowledge gives importance of spreading that knowledge in the right manner, in the appropriate manner, in the correct manner and way. That knowledge does not become stagnant, which you have obtained. Rather, it becomes a means of spreading it to everybody, as many people as you can. And that means that the student of knowledge adopts and takes all the means which are permissible, such as modern technology, and becoming an expert, and being academic and a professional, which will result of him adopting these styles, which will be a cause of his knowledge being beneficial and being spread in a good manner. So these are the three stages when it comes to knowledge. Marahil talab al-ilm. Now if you see in the West, you see many people have come across somebody writing a book, my advice to the brothers and sisters, and my advice to the sisters, and my advice to the brothers, and my advice to this. And this person has never ever left his home to go and seek knowledge. And he has not passed these stages. Before you start to write your PDFs and your documents and your 100-page refutations and everything, remember that the stage of when it comes to ta'leef and tasneef and tadris is at the third level. When you have mastered both stages, the foundational stage and the building upon the foundational stage, under the guidance of a talib al-ilm and a student of knowledge, then comes the chance of teaching, writing, spreading and propagating. And how many have you seen in the West who follow this methodology, which has been penned not by myself, I'm just the conveyor and the transmitter, but I'm telling you what the people of knowledge have agreed upon. So do you understand, all these people, all these half-baked potatoes who haven't even firmly grounded themselves in the first stage, and they are illustrating books and writing and refuting. This is a catastrophe. And when I spoke to our Shaykh yesterday, Wasil Abbas, we spoke for over, the Shaykh called me, alhamdulillah, and we spoke for over 1 hour and we discussed many of the issues. One of the issues that we did discuss with regards to the West is this very same issue which is now being discussed now. Because the Shaykh asked me about certain individuals. What is this so-and-so doing? And what is the khabar of so-and-so? And what you have seen with regards to the so-and-so? And when I informed him and asked him a question with regards to somebody who recently made a point blanket takfir upon a certain group of people, without any detailed discussion of it, the Shaykh said, this is pure carelessness, he said. But this is what happens, that when you are not firmly grounded in a particular area or with regards to a particular deviated sect, you will make these blunders. On one hand, you are calling Shaykh to the person who is one of the leading authorities of that sect. And then on the second, and then at the same time, you're making takfir of that deviated sect. This is craziness, this is tanaqud. Wa ila Allah al-mushtaq. So these are the three important stages that you need to follow when it comes. And in the third stage, when you are ready for illustrating or teaching or refuting, then your teachers will tell you that you are ready, that you are now capable of writing on this subject or researching on this subject under the supervision. The supervision always remains. Till this day, I am supervised by my superiors and my sheikhs and my teachers. Mentoring never ends from the cradle to the grave. Don't think because you graduate 6 years now, or you graduate from the Islamic University of Medina and you have a shahada, that's it. You're the sheikh now. And like I say, for wallahi, that the day I graduated from the Islamic University of Medina, one of my teachers said to me that from this day on, now you have started really to seek knowledge. Because the keys have been given to you. Not that khalas, knowledge, you're finished now, khalas, you're a scholar now. So me, as the one who has graduated, started in my opinion, and I speak for myself and not others, I feel that I started to seek knowledge, and I am a talib until this day. Ataway, let alone anything else. The next issue which we need to discuss, and this is an issue which I think a lot of the students ask me. A lot of the students, they ask me this question. And what is this issue? You can write it down for those of you who understand. تنوع مناهج طلب العلم. The different ways, the different methodologies of seeking knowledge. There's so many different out there. You say, oh, so-and-so is saying this, so-and-so is saying this, and so-and-so is saying that you should study this, and so-and-so is saying you shouldn't study this. I'm confused. I don't know who to believe and who not to believe. What's the right strategy for me? Because of all these curriculums that are out there, and all these different methodologies are out there, the beginner sometimes becomes confused. Which one is the right one? So you see this seeker of knowledge who is enthusiastic, who has the zeal, who has the passion, who really wants to seek knowledge. But you see him moving from one methodology to another, from this methodology to that, from this book to that book. And then if you meet him after 3-4 years, he has not progressed in reality. Bits and bobs is what he has collected. Is this not what we see today amongst many of our brothers and sisters? Or am I lying against the people? People are confused. Is this for me or is this not for me? Should I study this or should I not study this? One, they don't have a mentor or a Shaykh or Sunnah knowledge that can supervise them. So they're perplexed, they're confused. They're all members of confused.com. Because of so much out there and so many methodologies out there, so they hip-hopping from one course to another, from one book to another, from one teacher to another. Or they overload themselves with so much studies. And this is a problem. Yes or no? And this is a problem that needs to be addressed. So we see that our students do not fall into this dilemma. They do not become victims of this predicament. That's why this needs to be addressed today. Whilst we're doing the madkhal, because I'm not going to address, Allah knows best when I will address this again. And it's a one time that I'm going to speak about this today. And then I'm going to put the issue on the shelf. Whoever was here and present, and fabiha wa ni'mah. And inshallah, Allah willing, he will benefit or she will benefit. So what do we say with regards to these different methodologies of seeking knowledge? That which is befitting for the student of knowledge to know is that there are so many different types of plans out there to seek knowledge, different methodologies and different plans. And those who speak about this issue are those who speak about it with knowledge and those who don't speak about it with knowledge. And they are many. So the student of knowledge becomes perplexed between a methodology of seeking knowledge which in reality and apparently is not beneficial for him, rather it harms him. So it is very important that the student of knowledge is cautious to the best of his or her ability to adopt that methodology which is going to be the most beneficial and best and appropriate for them. And that which is the closest according to that student's ability and strength. So that this methodology that is adopted for the student, in other words, helps that methodology which is appropriate for him and most beneficial for him, helps him become firmly grounded in being able to complete the studies and perfect it. That's why you see many, they start and then they run away. They can't take it for many reasons. Maybe one of them, the main problems with regards to this is probably that book or that subject or that level was not appropriate for that student. So the difference, the ikhtilaf between the correct methodologies is in relation to choosing or selecting books over books. And the sequence in which those books are to be studied, and the different ways and styles of teaching and adopting its tools. And all of this, which I have just mentioned, comes from the bab of ijtihad, meaning that if it is a person who has recommended you, is from amongst those who is known for his knowledge and his amana and his experience with it, when it comes to at-ta'lim al-shar'i, Islamic education, then that is good. So previously, the ma'alim with regards to the correct methodology of seeking knowledge was mentioned. The raka'is were also mentioned. So when the student of knowledge chooses to take the path which goes hand in hand when it comes to the ma'alim, the landmarks, and the raka'is, the foundational points which were mentioned, then inshallah he will be upon the manhaj which is sahih. Then let him work hard in that, and let him give or her give the rights of that subject by being punctual, by giving it importance to the level that that student is able to benefit from that subject. And let that student start with that which he is able to do so. And no soul is to burden it more than what it can bear. And you should not choose that which is going to be hard and difficult upon you, so that you become fed up from seeking knowledge. When people start to study and they take on board more than that which they are capable or able to study, then they shun seeking knowledge. They hate seeking knowledge. They give up seeking knowledge. How many times you have found that somebody was good when he started, but now he doesn't want nothing to do with knowledge, due to that person becoming fed up of seeking knowledge. So that which is appropriate is to organize your time, which will help you and assist you of being constant and regular and frequent when it comes to seeking knowledge. And this is a problem that you have, the 24 hours a day that we have. We have a time for sleeping. We have a time for eating and drinking. We have a time for our commitments. But when it comes to seeking knowledge, there is no allocated or appointed time. You can't be a student of knowledge. You need to pencil in a time for your revision and seeking knowledge. And our Shaykh, Mufti Muhammad Rais Nadwi Rahmatullah alayhi, used to say that penciling in to seek knowledge should be equated to eating and drinking and relieving oneself when you go to the bathroom. How is that? That's a necessity. Or a person eats, he must go and relieve himself. A person must eat and drink. It's something which you cannot do. It says these are essentials, necessities. Once a student of knowledge includes and pencils in seeking knowledge and equates seeking knowledge at the same level of his necessities, then that now student of knowledge has started to become a serious student of knowledge. Until then, he's not a student. So he said that's the sign. If you want to know of a sign, people say that, is there a sign? Is there any sign that I'm on the right track? Is there any sign that I'm progressing? This is the sign. As you all know, as many of you may not know, that our Shaykh used to read up to 18 hours a day before he passed away. And the rest of the hours was split between eating, drinking, family time, sleeping and everything. 18 hours a day was regular. So when you have that in your timetable, when you have medicine, when you become sick, what does the doctor tell you? You've got to take the medicine at the right time. Otherwise, you're not going to get better. 2 in the morning, 2 in the afternoon, and 2 in the evening. Make sure you take this medicine at this time. The Shaykh used to say, just as taking medicine becomes essential and a necessity for a period of time, the real and the serious student of knowledge pencils in that allocated time, whether it's a revision or seeking knowledge, as a necessity in his life. It has a place in the 24 hours of seeking knowledge. The 24 hours that he has, seeking knowledge is there from the essentials. And then if you can get to that level, then honey and luck, glad tidings to you. That's a sign that you are a person who is serious when it comes to now seeking knowledge. Now you're on the track, the Shaykh used to say. You have a track on which a train moves on. The Shaykh used to say, that's the track. Seriousness, wherever you are. And the Shaykh once explained to me, he said that, look at the commitment of certain people, and I've seen this myself when I've traveled on the tube in London. People are coming back from work, or they are going to work in the morning whenever I have traveled on the tube. And I see them standing up with one hand on there and another hand with their book, and they're reading. They're sitting down and they're reading. That's the commitment that they have for whatever they're doing. So what about the talibul ilm? And this is on the way from work or going to work. I have seen frequently and constantly on the tube in London, so many people who I know must be working as professionals or probably have high positions, and they sit down or they stand and they're reading. So what about you, O student of knowledge? What about us? Where do we stand? Now, where do we stand for this? So this is something which I have mentioned before, that the student of knowledge must do. And when he seeks knowledge and he adopts this path, then he will see himself progress. You've got to be able to see your own progress. You sense your progress. And as we know that those actions that are most beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala are those actions that are done constantly and frequently and regularly, even if they are small. So if the most beloved action to Allah is that action which is done frequently and regularly, what happens for the one who seeks knowledge, even if it's a little bit of time, but it is done frequently? Now, is that clear? Do you understand my point? How serious this issue is? You've got to be committed, students of knowledge. We are not here for banter and to laugh and to make Instagram videos and laughing and doing all the nonsense. And this is no way. This is not a sign of a student of knowledge, even if he claims or is a graduate of Medina. This is nonsense. Naam, tafaddal. The one who is asking for permission. Naam, for those of you who need to leave. It's on the seriousness. That's why the issue of khawarim al-muru'ah and the issue of seriousness is connected to the issue of khawarim al-muru'ah. Naam, is it Sayyidah Tahura? Naam. And this is from the etiquettes of a student of knowledge, that when they decide to leave the class, they take permission. I am very happy with this type of manners. Are the students following what I'm saying, or they're not following for what I'm saying? Well, it makes sense. Banter and entertainment and joking on social media and making these type of clips and tagging one another and liking one another with all this nonsense that goes on. Don't be surprised if you see graduates of Medina University doing this. Don't be baffled. Like I said to you, the graduate of Medina University, in reality, the day he graduates is the day he starts to seek knowledge. Not that he's under the false impression that he's become a shaykh. So seriousness, jiddiyah, seriousness of seeking knowledge, one of the key ingredients is consistency, regularity, and having an allocated time in your 24 hours a day, just like eating, drinking, and relieving yourself, and all your other essentials that you have. You hear so many times people say, Allah, I have no time to seek knowledge. 9 to 5 this, 9 to 5. Naam, it's difficult. Naam, wallahi, it's difficult. I understand and feel the pain of many. But if you fear Allah, and if you really want to seek knowledge, then Allah says in the Quran, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. The one who has taqwa of Allah, Allah will open a way for him that he cannot even imagine. Try it. And see the results of this. Seriousness of seeking knowledge is to stay away from banter, joking, and all this nonsense that goes on social media. And discussions and podcasts which are of no benefit. Dardasha, like they say. And then you have the one who is mutadhabdib. Who is the mutadhabdib? The mutadhabdib or the mutadhabdibun in the UK are many. The lost ones, the confused ones. Not here, not there. Not here, not there. Sometimes it's in this lesson, and sometimes it's in this lesson, and sometimes it's here, and sometimes it's there, and sometimes it's there. This mutadhabdib, when it comes to the different methodologies, and he's always gallivanting around between books and shuyukh, then in reality this person is wasting so much of his time and energy. And then in the end result, and I have seen this with consistency, this person stops seeking knowledge, ceases to seek knowledge. That's why, wallahi, I know people who have known for over 25, 30 years, they still are on book 1 and haven't completed book 1. Book 1 and book 4. 25 to 30 years. I know people. Book 1 and book 2. Medina book 1, Medina book 2. Started hundreds of times. Why? There is no seriousness. Talab al-ilm is done without consistency, regularity. There is no focus. Do you understand the importance of what I'm saying with regards to such people? You don't want to be that person. And this is from the most dangerous sickness that the people have been infected with and have been trialed with, from those who consider themselves to be from the students of knowledge today, gallivanting around from one book to the other, from one sheikh to the other, from one class to the other. So it's appropriate for the talibul ilm, when he chooses the path and the methodology, that it is the correct path and methodology for him when it comes to knowledge. That it's done under the mentoring of a person of knowledge. And it's upon him or her to be patient upon that until that knowledge and that subject is perfected and completed, and that he benefits from it. with regards to the different methodologies of when it comes to seeking knowledge and its ways and its criteria, then many different ways have different merits and benefits. So it may be so that this particular methodology is the best for student A, and the other methodology is not appropriate for him. And it could be so that this methodology for student B is more appropriate than the methodology of a student for the student A. So this shows that sometimes you need a customized manhaj when it comes to seeking knowledge. You just can't go around following another person's. A person might be strong in memory and weak in comprehension, or strong in comprehension and weak in memory. So something which is afdal for student A will be mafdul for student B, and something which is afdal for student B will be mafdul for student A. And who do you go back? You go back to your mentor and your teacher, and the Shaykh who knows you, who knows your level, and will tell you that this is the most appropriate path for you when it comes to this subject. What is the Ibra? What is the most important thing to take heed from when it comes to the methodology that you adopt? The most important factor is that which is going to be the most anfa, beneficial way or method for you to seek knowledge. Which is the most aqrab, the easiest, in order for you to master that which you study. So whoever takes the path which is going to be mafdhula, not better for him, whoever takes the path, which is the most afdal for him, and is patient when it comes to studying until he's able to benefit from that subject, then he is better than the one who is mutaraddid, who is doubtful between the different methodologies, which is the most appropriate methodology or most beneficial for him, and he won't be able to excel to that. So for example, you might have somebody who chooses a path which may be mafdhula, meaning it won't be the best for him, but he sticks to that one. When he chooses the one methodology, he sticks to that methodology. Then he is better than the one who is moving from one methodology to the other. So if he's made that mistake, he has chosen a methodology, he's sticking by that methodology, he's now going through it, it's not possible for him to do the U-turn in that, then it is better for him to stick to that one particular methodology rather than leaving one, shunning one, and then adopting another, then leaving that one and then adopting another. And the example that can be given for seeking knowledge or with the right methodology is the one who wants to travel to a city, and between him and that city there are many different routes, there are many different ways. And which route are you going to take? I remember we were going to the airport before I came, and we have Google Maps and you have Waze. So they said that let's use Waze because we will know where there is traffic. It tells you the expected traffic. So it will tell you not to take this route and take that route, and it will tell you that there is an accident on this road and there's not an accident on this road. Yes or no? For those who live in the UK and know this and use this app. Talab al-ilm, the path of seeking knowledge and the methodology of seeking knowledge is the same. It can be equated to the one who is traveling and he needs to get from one city to another, from one country to another, which is the best route for him. No, don't take this route. Oh, there's an accident here. Oh, there's so much traffic here. In London, the Londoners are always trying to look for a route. If they are traveling, if their means of transportation is a car, they want to avoid traffic. Yes or no? That's the anfa tariq for them, the most beneficial for them. So the talab al-ilm is the same way. The methodology that you adopt has to be the most beneficial for you. So what do you need? وَلَا بُدَّ لَهُ مِن مُرْشِدٍ يُرْشِدُهُ. He needs a guide who will guide him. And who is his guide when he's on the routes on London? Google Maps, the TomTom, the GSP system and ways. This is the murshid. Without this, murshid is going to be lost. Yes or no? How is he going to work out the route? Are you following me or are you lost? Seems that students are not following. You need a murshid. You need a GPS system. That is your murshid. Without your GPS system, you could end up in traffic for hours. It could be a catastrophe for you not to get to your destination in the estimated time. بحول الله وقوته. So you need to take the right route. You need that GPS system. You need ways. You need those apps. Those apps are your murshid, your mentors, your guides. Without them, you're lost. You know, if you stopped, in the olden days, you would stop for directions before all these technology and these apps came out. And if you got lost somewhere, you would ask a person, where is this place? He said, oh, take the first left and then take the first right. And then you'd stop quickly and he'd tell something and he would tell you the completely different route. What would happen then? Two different people you've asked have given you two different routes. You would have to make an ijtihad and see who was more convincing and more truthful, yes or no, in order for you to take his word over the other. So the point is that you yourself as a student of knowledge know your strengths and your weaknesses. And with your mentor who will know your strengths and your weaknesses will tell you that which is the most beneficial for you in order for you to master that subject. But without this app, without this guide, you're lost. And people today want to seek knowledge, equating the example of the traveler without these apps. If you take away modern technology today, all these apps, all these GPS systems that are fitted in the cars now, and if you go back to the Stone Ages, the cave, the days when people were in the caves, where we used to have the A to Z map. You know, my granddad, he used to have this book in his car, a white one, he called A to Z. And then he would open up and there's maps and they would study the map and the routes. Wallahi, people would be in haraj today. Nobody would be able to get anywhere. The taxi drivers of the past used to memorize. You know, when you'd go for a taxi test, you would have to know all the different main locations of that city. Today, there's no such thing. It's just the GPS. Khalas. It's got a, where do you want to go? He just types it in and he takes it. So modern technology is used for the benefit of the people in the dunya. But that is the guide. That is the murshid. So you need your guide and you need your murshid. You need your mentor who you're always referring to. Shall I read this? No, don't read this. This is not for you at this moment. Naam, read this for you. Rather than reading this, then read this. This is not for you now. You're not ready for this now. So, if he has a guide, we'll finish off at this point. I hope these points have been of a benefit to you, students of knowledge. So when you have this guide who guides you to seeking knowledge, and with the tawfiq of Allah, what happens when you have the right GPS system and you are traveling to your final destination? What's the expected result of that person with the GPS system? Is he going to be able to reach his destination? So now you see that people, there are different apps. One app just gives you a straight route. The other app alerts you that there is traffic. The other app tells you that the most best way, where you are located, and at the time. It says today is a Friday, the 2nd of July. And don't go on the side roads, go on the main road, on the motorway. Or it tells you don't go on the motorway today, there's an accident. That's anfa, wa ansa, wa aqra. So when it comes to seeking knowledge, because seeking knowledge cannot be done independently without a teacher. The same methodology is applied, of which is the best. There's probably many routes, yes. which is the best one for you at this moment in time. So if he takes the guidance of the guide, who is his teacher or his sheikh, then if he has been granted the tawfiq of Allah by referring to his teacher, then he will take the path which is ahsan al-turuq, the best of paths, and the most secured, and the most easy. ahsan al-turuqi wa amanuha wa aysaruha wa aqrabuha fahuwa ʻAbd. The best path, the most secured path, or the best methodology, the most secured methodology, the most easiest methodology, the most appropriate methodology, and the most beneficial of the most superior methodology. If he chooses the right path, then he will prevent himself from any form of trouble, difficulty, hardship, and he will be able to reach his destination in the direction which he has chosen, which is the right direction, even if there may be a delay. So he may take a route that there is some type of hardship in there, but because it's the right route, then he may reach his final destination a bit late than expected. But if he becomes mutadhabdhib, from not here and not there, from jumping from one GPS, so he starts the GPS system and then moves to Google Maps, and then he changes from Google Maps and moves to Waze, and then he moves from Waze and he chooses, and he just quickly, and he's going, sometimes he's saying go left, and he's saying go right, and then he's saying go straight, and they're saying take a U-turn. What's going to happen? What's going to happen when he starts to use all those apps at the same time, moving from one app to another? He's going to get to his destination. That app is saying go on the motorway. That app is saying take the A streets. That app is saying do a U-turn here now. That app doesn't tell you where the roads are blocked. It's taking you to dead ends. What's going to happen? Because he's using so many apps. So what happens when he starts using so many different methodologies? So many different ways of seeking knowledge. What's going to happen? 1 minute you see him, he's memorizing. 1 minute he's saying he shouldn't memorizing, and he's doing this and he's doing that. Do you understand the parallel which I am giving you? So you need to be the mutadhabdhib. So what happens? He loses all his time. You know, you've got a flight to catch, and you're using 6 or 7 different apps to take you to the airport. What happens? Do you think you're going to get to your flight? You're going to catch your flight? Do you think that time that's being used is going to be utilized in the right way, or is it going to be a waste of time? And all the apps are used simultaneously, just jumping from one app to another. Oh, he's going to lose all his time and his effort, and he won't move in the path that he has taken. He'll be in the lane, and he will not reach his desired final destination until he returns back to adopting the correct path by choosing one app and then being patient upon that until he is able to take the course of that road or that course or that direction and just take it. And if he is to take a route, or if he is to take a path without the mentoring of a teacher or a scholar, then he's upon great danger. And then he's going to be from amongst those who's going to indulge himself in a catastrophe. And he's going to swerve away from the right, correct path, which will take him to his intended and final destination that he intended. So when the students of knowledge, when they all start seeking knowledge, then they are sort of all upon the same path. They start upon the same lane. But then after a while, the levels start changing differently after they start seeking that path. For the one who takes the correct path with the guidance of his teacher, he will be able to see the different and have insight of the different stages. And he will be able to protect himself of the blunders and the dangers. And he will be able to see the landmarks and the signs of which he intends, and the evidences that he has chosen the right way. And every time he continues seeking this path, this methodology, his basira, or his firm knowledge, will increase that he has taken the right path. So for example, when he takes these ways and then he starts seeing signs of Heathrow Airport in London, Terminal 2, Terminal 3, he knows that he's on the right path. He's going to reach them. He's now in the right direction. The more he sees 6 miles, 4 miles, 3 miles, take the first left, take the first exit, these are all going to be signs of him that he's going to reach his final destination. In the same way, when he takes the right path of when it comes to seeking knowledge, he's going to start to see those signs. Until he sees he has reached his final destination. He has reached Terminal 2, Heathrow Airport. And he knows now that his final destination has come. Even if you be somebody who's by himself. So this is for the one who seeks knowledge, beneficial knowledge, and he seeks the path and the methodology under the mentor and the mentorship of a shaykh or a student of knowledge or a teacher. And he knows the landmarks. And he knows his issues. He knows his scholars. He knows his references. And he studies with progression, with stages. And this is the right path of seeking knowledge. Until every time his knowledge increases, his firmness of knowing that the path which he has chosen is that he's upon the right path. And you can't get to this level until you pass the stage of the beginner, of the elementary. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us all this correct way. And seeking knowledge. That everybody moves at their own level. That's why you don't have to move at the level of your friend. Be assured, somebody may have and grasp things easily than you, and you will grasp as well, inshallah. So don't worry. It's not a rat race. There is no rat race in coming seeking knowledge. Because seeking knowledge is an act of ibadah. The more difficult it is for you to understand that issue, and your friend has understood that issue, then know that you're going to get more reward for trying. So Allah in fact is favoring you in the fact that you're going to try more harder, more hardship, more reward, more patience. So this is something which is very important when it comes to structured, the structured way of seeking knowledge and the different methodologies and routes. And these apps were a beautiful example that came to my mind today. And you can equate and parallel to the reality. Is that clear? So I think we've covered now everything, alhamdulillah. We've just got mahadhir wa tanbihat, some cautions and some important points. I think we have about 7 points that need to be mentioned. And then we have some wasaya, some important nasiha for the people and the source of knowledge. And then the last thing is to take note-taking, and then we will be done when it comes to the subject of al-Madkhal. And then we will start with the biography of Shaykh al-Islam, Muhammad ibn al-Wahhab, rahimahullah ta'ala. So we'll stop here for today. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, everything that has been said, if it was correct, then may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it a means of benefiting his students. When will the lessons of Ad-Durr al-Bahiyya start? The lessons of Ad-Durr al-Bahiyya will start very soon. Tomorrow again, we will have Al-Usul ath-Thalathah this week. I'm still working out my timetable in Medina. So Ad-Durr al-Bahiyya requires a lot of time to be given into it. I am not a person who just teaches, picks up books and teach and waffles away. As you can see that this library here, alhamdulillah, is utilized for you students to try to prepare the most beneficial lesson to the best of my ability. Tomorrow the lesson will be, inshallah, I will confirm the lesson tomorrow. Like I said, that this difference of changes of times is just temporarily until certain issues here have been sorted out in Medina. Inshallah, so we should speak to him. But tomorrow will be Al-Usul ath-Thalathah again. Hopefully we shall finish what we want to do. And the next week we shall see with regards to Durr al-Bahiyya. We'll start very soon. Now, it is a book on fiqh. Naam, Durr al-Bahiyya is a book on fiqh. It was confirmed. Again, I confirmed it with Shaykh Abbas. And the Shaykh, alhamdulillah, affirmed, confirmed, consented, concurred, and praised the choice of this book. He said the West needs Ad-Durr al-Bahiyya. These were the words of our Shaykh. Alhamdulillah. Like I said, that was my mentor that I went back to and confirmed with him before teaching him. Do you see how it works? Although I had already told him my plan months back, that if I finish, this is what I had. But again, I confirmed and explained to him. Inshallah, see you tomorrow. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala, the time will be confirmed. Tomorrow morning, bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.